Context channel, Simon and Paul again. We are back in the eve of harassing of the family of Wanjigi, and we saw how embarrassing that was, or sickening, especially while the gentleman was speaking and the kid was openly traumatized, could not leave the dad side, maybe thinking somebody or something would hurt the good mzee. And we are in an era where the government is trying even to portray that we cannot protect our children. It will harass us even in our safe places at home.
Yeah.
Paul, welcome. Can you tell us, is Kenya a police state? Is it becoming a police state, or has it always been one? What do you think?
I don't think yeah. It's right. The right way to put it is to say that Kenya is becoming a police state.
Yeah.
This is a continuation of something that has been happening in this country for some time, and you have given an example of Wanjigi because that is what happened most recently.
Yeah.
And it is disturbing. I also watched those videos.
Yeah.
And I was quite disturbed by what I could see from the faces of the children of the child that was holding him while he was giving that press conference.
Yeah.
And I am saying that it is not a new thing. It's not a new development in this country because we remember some 7 years ago, was it in the run-up to the 2017 elections, or was it sometime after the election when we were having the protests?
Yeah.
The same guy was subjected to the same thing.
Exactly, the same sickening treatment.
And at that time he was, I think, living with his father at his house. His father was sickling at the time, who passed on recently. And so it's not a new phenomenon. It's a continuation of something that has been happening. And the other time it was a different president. And it's happening under a different president now. So we cannot say it's a new thing. It's just something that's always there, maybe on standby for anybody that is in that office to use when they feel threatened, maybe a little bit by whatever is going on in the country, or maybe for their own convenience.
This is what I'm thinking, and I have been thinking. I think Kenya has been a police state, and I think the regime has no better way of interacting with its citizen. So it thinks the only way of handling things is the police. You know, Paul, the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer. You start seeing all problems, all the challenges being a nail.
You want to hammer everything.
You want to hammer everything because you have no other tool. And you understand the journey we've come this long. We have seen every regime, a regime after another. The only way they solve things is deploying police. Like the nurses demonstrate, then the only thing you hear is the police will protect property.
Yes.
There is not that spirit of engaging people to express themselves. And then you have even the terror threat of 2013, 2014, 2015. You have President Uhuru Kenyatta now ordering his bone-headed police officer to round any person who they suspect. And if you are brown and the shape of your head looks in a certain way, you are subject to harassing and other things. And you remember I was also a victim. I was dragged out of a.
You told me about.
I was dragged out of a hotel with two of my friends. It was these niggas almost killed me. I reported the matter to police station and the Kasarani police station then.
Okay.
And the clown in charge then, just trying to act fool, told me, Simon, I'll arrange a parade so that you can identify the person who did that to you. And I told him, Mr. Officer, stop wasting my time.
You knew that was never going to happen.
Exactly. I told him, the guys that accosted me, dragged me out of a hotel like a criminal at gunpoint, were guarded by the guys you had deployed today to guard that ATM at a certain place.
So he certainly knew those guys.
Exactly. Do you want to tell me you don't have a duty roster that can tell you which administration police guys you had posted in that place? So I want you to look at it this way. Is it that the government uses police because it has no other way of engaging with people? And then while that it addressed this tribal thing, like while Uhuru was doing that, when Uhuru Kenyatta was harassing people, his police arresting people, doing other things, killing people at industrial scale. We remember very well the Ala, when children of people were killed, and maybe President Uhuru's tribe thought it was not their business because it was Ala. And bodies of 20-something young kids that had a lot to give to this republic, we will never have to see them again. And we didn't see any Kikuyu saying anything. Okay. And then we have the same now happening. And in fact, when Uhuru did these sickening things he did, or the police under Uhuru raided Wanjigi's home, did these satanic things that are very sick again, we didn't see our people saying anything. But now, fast forward
your people are not pro Wanjigi at the time.
Yeah.
So you wonder what makes them pro Wanjigi.
But I've always told you about this, like the law, like justice should always prevail. We should not be primitive to adopt that Arabic saying of me and my brother against a cousin, or me and cousin against a stranger. We should always pursue justice. So if something was wrong, then it is wrong today. What I'm trying to say is the state has internalized this way of abusing police to do this, to break the law, such that it is now even sleepwalking into it. There's not even it's a muscle memory. Yeah. It's a muscle memory. There's not much thinking needed to it. Think about it. Why is it now that Kikuyus are very much angry now concerning maybe something like Kware, which also irritates me, but did not bother them, Rivayala, which is equally sickening. They are very sick now because of Wanjigi 2024. But they were completely okay with Wanjigi 2017. What do you think?
First of all, let me talk about the question as to whether the governments that, or the what do we call them? The governments we have had in place just never try to have like constructive ways of solving problems. Yeah. And they resort to using police force quickly before they can think of any other way of addressing a situation. Yeah. And I think that is a problem, and that is actually what happens all the time. And it's not just a Kenyan issue. I think it's an African issue.
Maybe global. Even the US has been noted for the same.
Maybe global, where when we have people staging protests, some very peaceful protests, not destroying property, not threatening businesses that are running, like the protests that we had of nurses and doctors.
Exactly.
Those guys were not disturbing anyone.
And then we had representative like shot in the head.
A peaceful,
you remember,
procession. Yeah. And then the first thing you hear is that the KMPDU Secretary General or chairman has been shot in the head by was it a tear gas canister, and he had to be in hospital for a couple of days, and then he came out to continue.
Let's just stay short.
So now
it's so wrong. Yeah.
What I keep asking myself whenever these things happen. These guys are out protesting legitimately. The issues that they have are legitimate issues. They are CBA issues, things that they signed with the government a couple of years ago. Yeah. So when they decide that they're coming out to protest, they normally give notices to the government, strike notices, and then they announce dates when they're going to be out in the streets to do their peaceful demonstration. Yeah. What makes it difficult for the government to find ways of engaging these people and call them to the dialogue table so that they can talk about these things? Exactly. And maybe see if they can revise a few things in the agreement that they had that is the subject of the protest, or maybe agree on new timelines for implementing the agreement. Yeah. So they wait until these guys start feeling frustrated because they are doctors. They know what their role is. They know that they're supposed to be in the hospitals saving lives. Yeah. But then the government does not seem to listen. And then the thing that the government wants us to see is that they are using the police against the doctors because the government is also feeling equally frustrated that the doctors are out and not out protesting and not in the hospitals to save lives as they should. But it's just the playbook for governments. It's the playbook that they use all the time. I think it would be easier for the government to just, you've given a strike notice, you have also announced the dates when you will start your protest. And if the government knows the importance or the important role that these guys play in saving lives, or whichever sector it is, not even doctors, or maybe the protest that we had in Kenya the other day when it was legitimate, when it was legitimate and we had legitimate concerns about the finance bill. Before it escalates to a point where properties are beginning to be destroyed and it becomes like a full-blown war.
And never mind, even Kionjori said the government brought people to demonstrate, so it was not, at some point it stopped being a Gen Z, it became now the state protesting against the government.
Against the government.
Yeah, so address the tribal thing. What do you think about now the tribal part of
the tribal thing? I think that is not a very comfortable conversation to have, but we are going to have it
nonetheless.
Now that
because we must address ourselves, because like we are adults. Like nobody will change us. We have to educate ourselves to either learn or perish like fools.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to have a prosperous republic, which we love, and which I usually say again and again, we sought to defend. If you want to proceed is to look into the mirror and address the challenges, because Paul uchafu ni uchafu hata kwako hunuka. Huwezi nipata ati nimeosha nyumba and then refuse. I feel so much attached to my dirt that I'm not throwing it away. The same case, we must look into ourselves and see why what's the role of tribalism in that? Like, we have a state that has been perpetually tribal, but we Kikuyus, being the majority, are able to let it pass when we feel it's not affecting us.
But I think you are talking about Kikuyus because before Ruto has been in office for 2 years and he's from a different tribe. We had Kikuyus in power for 20 years uninterrupted.
True.
And so the 20 years were the years from we were just completing primary school, and then we grew up learning politics and just knowing how our country is run. So maybe that is why we are giving Kikuyus as an example, because we saw a lot of things that happened.
Exactly. I'm not trying to say anybody else is better.
Years, right?
Believe me, I'm not trying to say anything is better.
But I think that we are never going to solve anything in this country, even things that really need to be solved and things that require us to come together to address. If we are always going to use tribal lenses to look at everything that's going on, if it's the police state thing that is going on, I think whenever it happens, or whenever we notice that it's what is happening, then we should all come out to talk against it.
To defend justice, right?
To defend justice.
Because it's good for everybody.
And not look at who is in power. Are they from my tribe?
Or from the other
tribe?
That
I can talk or not. Or from the other tribe. It's easier to talk about it when it's someone else that is in power that is from a different tribe. But then that takes away objectivity, and if we are not objective, then we are never going to solve
the problem.
People that never talked against this issue when it was, the bodies getting dumped in Rivayala, bodies of young people whose crimes have never been established.
Exactly.
We'll never know.
If somebody felt he had strong evidence that can support the decision to end somebody's life, why did the same person think that the judge could have sentenced this person enough? It doesn't make sense.
The judge could have given a commensurate sentence.
And that's why we have the court justice, because we cannot have one person pretending to be, the prosecutor, then the judge, the jury, and the hangman.
So if you feel that you love the president so much because he's from your tribe, and if we have these things happening or when under his administration, then you should not talk about it. Then at least you should care that some of the people whose bodies were getting were getting retrieved from Rivayala were people from your tribe. Why was the president allowing people from his own tribe to be killed, and why were you keeping quiet while all that was happening? What is more important? Is it more important for us to like pursue justice and not care about anything else so long as justice is served, or are we supposed to be looking at the person in power? And
you remember very well then we discussing in some private conversation, and I told you Rivayala bothered me a lot because Kenya is our motherland, which must take care of everybody, including our criminals. Even the criminals must know the benevolence of Mother Kenya. They must go through the trial, the justice system, and be handed a sentence and serve, because we cannot behave like medieval
that is
people.
that is the route that we should go. That is how like it should be handled. Nobody should just wake up and feel like
because he's rich and probably he is supported by the biggest tribe in Kenya and has some few accounts in Panama. You can just hire people and establish containers. Ruto said so. There were containers, specialized containers for killing people. What is it? What's wrong with these people? Now let me say something extending the same debate of the state and police state. We know like and let's contrast the Anglo-Saxon state system that we have, that is based on the English system, whereby the government exists for the sake of government. It doesn't help anybody. You saw the other report that will show our viewers that says UK is a poor country with very few rich individuals, and it has had a continuous government since 10th century to date, and still there are poor people there. And then come to China, for example, a civilizational state like China or Iran, and you notice that there are not extreme poverty. They are not very poor people, and the government takes responsibility, care of maybe the old, care of the elderly, teaching children, social programs. And I believe if we had a similar system, the government could have other levers to interact with people. Like maybe the doctors are demonstrating because their salaries are low, but the government can say, okay, but we are taking care of the old. We run old people's homes to enable you to work well. So understand us as we continue with this thing, right? And maybe even the Chinese kindergarten system that is state run. It's run by the state, fed by the state, and even it can be even boarding. Maybe we can discuss the rightness or the wrongness of that. I don't. But it's like you can take your children to school, government-funded school, preschool, very functional, has everything people live like paradise and learn life skills, and funded by your state, which now allows you to pursue your goals, to work hard, to earn your money, while the state now teaches its children how it wants them to learn. And if you read even Plato's Republic, say that would be probably one of a perfect society, where the government takes the care of responsibility. Or even now, maybe even the Chinese and the Russian, how they provide state housing. Like even if you understand, even if your salary is not very high, the state is taking care of your health issue. You are healthy. It's taking care of your housing issues.
So you have a lot of the critical things taken care of.
So the government has very many levers to interact with its people. Don't you think that our government tendency to resort to police, to force, is because it has nothing else? It helps people.
It absolutely has nothing else. It absolutely has nothing else, and maybe the way that the only opportunity that it has to assert itself and to make people feel that it exists and can do something is by unleashing the police and doing like all those bad things against the citizens. I wish we had governments that could, make their presence felt.
Through other ways.
Ways that are positive. So that at least maybe once in a while, whenever necessary, they decide to, bring out the police, then we can excuse them. We can say that, I mean, on most occasions, the government has always,
It cannot be very consistent that it's always the police doing things.
It's
always, because it is tempting us to think even it is the interest of the police, of the government to cause chaos. Because how else would you ever know there's a government? Exactly.
if there are chaos and if the police are
Exactly.
out there wreaking havoc.
Yeah, such that the reality that we are discovering that
Simon, one thing that disturbed me when we had the protests and when the parliament was breached, why would the government have people and consistently have police officers that are not in uniform are coming out and doing the kinds of things? Because if the citizens who are protesting could see police officers who are armed and are in uniform, appropriate attire, and do not have their faces covered like we saw some of the people that we are told were police had had their faces covered a little bit like criminals, then I mean that would be a deterrent for someone to not go beyond a certain zone that the police has blocked.
Paul,
but then you have people that are dressed like citizens who are protesting.
Like terrorists.
Like terrorists,
Yeah, there was some who had wrapped their heads with kefir.
Why should you...
appearing like Arafat.
What I would think is that if we have such people in our midst and they're protesting, then I would first of all think that they are, just normal citizens like me who do not want their faces to be seen. But then if it's the police that are dressing like that, like criminals, why would the police not want their face to be seen?
I'm itching to answer that question.
And again, why don't you just have police officers dressed appropriately so that it's easy for citizens to identify or to know that we have, police officers standing trying to protect a place like the parliament, and these are the police officers, and I know that I should not go past a given line that that has been drawn, not really drawn, but then if you have police officers lining up and they are dressed like police officers, then you know that you should not go beyond that place. But then you have people that are not in police attire, and then you think that you do not have enough police presence in that place and you can just storm the parliament. And then once people get into parliament, I am not saying that parliament should not be... Sometimes it takes maybe raiding the parliament or some of these state things for something to happen, or for the government to actually take action and see this as a serious thing that needs to be, that it needs to pay attention to. Like it happened in Burkina Faso, unfortunately. It happens in those countries, but then they never get solutions. They never get the solutions that they're looking for. But I really think that it's not okay for the government to unleash police officers.
That is one question that's very at my heart. And I'm willing to respond very extensively.
Because someone waits for you to storm a place, get inside there, and then suddenly you realize that the person that is standing beside you is actually a police officer with a gun that wants to, if not abduct you, shoot you, gun you, and kill you. And you could never have done it if you knew that this is a police officer that I have right in front of me. I maybe would never have gone beyond a certain line.
This is my response to that question. The state, in its lack of creativity in handling its citizen, with its love of upholding its colonial model, of not evolving to become a modern state of our time, has found it very difficult to operate within the law. When you see the police not willing to proudly display the labels, the regalia that we've given them to symbolize the republic, that means they are now willing to do their private business using republic's resources. They have no respect for this republic. People show up with vehicles with private number. That is one. With their private clothing, hiding their face and wearing kefir like terrorists used to do then. Those are people that already show you from the beginning they are not willing to operate within the law. So they are willing to do illegal things, and that's why they are hiding their face. Because we know the police is the officer of the state, is the officer of the law. He represents Kenya. So there shouldn't be anything prouder or something that there's nothing that we respect more than that uniform of our republic protecting its people. But now you see people appearing with Subaru like thieves, with private number like they are going on their grandmother's businesses.
Why should you be stealthy? Why should you be...
Exactly. Why should you not stand with the law that we have given you very generously to protect the lives and properties of Kenyans? So anytime you see police doing that, it's a symbol of how the state is not willing to obey the law. It's being to engage in extra legal ways, in terroristic way, in a manner that now it erodes the power and the authority of the republic, taking it to some people. Because let me tell you something. Did you know you cannot obey the law by breaking the law?
You cannot.
Exactly. You cannot govern by using criminal means. Like the state should be the top in inspiring us to uphold the law, because even the constitution says we Kenyans gave us this law ourselves. So the laws are ours. Even that penal code is ours. Exactly.
True.
So if somebody who comes to impose the law, our law, on me, then I have no problem with that. That's why we Paul, we work very hard, and we have even children in this republic.
Yes.
We obey the law and work very hard for this republic. And then you see this crop of people who are being radicalized by the police state to behave like children, and now even they're taking it to a next level whereby they don't even display that number. You just come with vehicles without number, and then everybody is alighting hooded like a terrorist. That is one thing that will erode the power of this republic very much, and I don't know who is doing these things. Did you know after they did that, they conducted those raids with no license plates somewhere? I don't know, it's Zimmerman. Then that's when you started hearing this called Molotov trending on Twitter, because the state is not willing to show that it represents the state. People who arrived were looking like thieves and terrorists. What are they doing? They are radicalizing citizens. I can't even think that we can cross that Rubicon whereby we Kenyans should start thinking of weapons to protect ourselves. How? We have the republic. So the state, it's upon President Ruto and all other people that are advising him to use their heads to stop this nonsense. We respect the police and we respect the law. The law is ours. The constitution is ours. We've given it unto ourselves. The penal code is ours. We are willing. Every well-meaning Kenyan is willing to obey that law and to operate within the law. And if we are wrong, we be punished under the law. But the moment you bring people who look very intent from go on operating outside the law, that's how they are eroding the honor of the republic. To bring in something that is not our republic backdoor, whereby you have marauding young people wearing keffiyeh like terrorists and hurling AK-47 and speeding around the town or without any numbers. That is one thing that will erode the respect of this republic. And when you see people start saying Molotov, I don't know what else Kenyans will start thinking about. And why? Why is anybody want us to take in that direction?
Why should
it's so wrong.
I think
that thing irritated me personally.
The only circumstance that a security officer should be camouflaged or should try not to be identified easily is if they are dealing with terrorists.
Exactly.
Maybe out in the battlefields.
Exactly.
But why do you hide?
They are dealing with us. We the law-abiding citizens. The police numbers, the police vehicles should be proudly worn. That police suit or police uniform must be proudly worn. Police standard issue weapon must be proudly carried, so that we know we are interacting with our state, not foreigners, not thieves. Parting shot, maybe we can conclude that.
My parting shot would be, I think we should just, or maybe all regret that the government resorts to using police force in the manner that it does sometimes, and in sneaky ways. And the other thing would be the need for us to be objective whenever we have these conversations, so that you do not look at who is in power. Are they coming from my ethnic community? So that to determine if you are going to be critical of something bad that the government has done or not. I mean, we should call out injustice for what it is, and we should never be really be slowed down or maybe made to feel that it's not the right conversation to have because the person in power comes from
your tribe,
from my tribe.
Yeah,
that is the only thing we need to do, so that we are able to solve a lot of the. We need objectivity.
Exactly.
What we have had, what we have seen, or the way that we have operated in the past has been subjective. We are united. We are united depending on who is up there, and we are divided depending the person that you're teaming up today with to fight an injustice will not be your teammate tomorrow to fight injustice, because maybe the person that will be in power tomorrow will be someone from their tribe.
Okay.
I think that is something that we need to walk away from.
Yeah, I want to remind our people that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. When the state adopts those bad manners, if you come from the mountain or elsewhere, if you see the state doing anything wrong, please don't be silent because you think it is to another person. And every Kenyan, all my viewers, and even those who watch me from abroad, it's upon everybody to ensure justice is done for all. We uphold justice wherever we are. We be just to our friends and our neighbors. And when something wrong is done to anybody, we rise. We ensure we live in a just modern society than being medieval people who celebrate wrongs when they are done by somebody who we think does not belong to us, because you never know who it will be done to tomorrow. The other thing is that it's time now President Ruto stopped this joke of abusing police. I don't know, it reflected very badly on Wanjigi's and that traumatized girl. I don't know why it affected me. Maybe it's because of my earlier kidnapping I was telling you about.
But again, those people had only recently lost the progenitor of the family, and then the grandpa, and that was traumatizing enough. That was a big loss, and then barely a month later, you are there now trying to do that kind of thing to their father.
It's wrong. It's wrong because
they have to feel vulnerable.
Yeah, it's very wrong. And then you see some people like bloggers, even some very big bloggers that have even political seats, saying that Wanjigi's mama said Wanjigi is not a criminal, and then somebody mocking that every parent think the son is not a criminal. And I was challenging that blogger, like, if Wanjigi is a criminal, why hasn't the state pressed any charges in any court?
But what is it that is in Wanjigi's house? What is it that is in Wanjigi's house that the government has never been able to bring out? Because in 2017 they did this, and then nothing came out. There was no report of whatever they found in there, and I'm sure that even this time that they have done it.
Yeah, because it was wrong for somebody to say even that of that mother. It's wrong to behave like a mob. Because I believe if Wanjigi is wrong, the state should have pressed some charges somewhere in the court. We haven't had any. So it's time for we to respect this republic and the republic its respect. All the police and everybody should wear their uniform while doing the republic's work, because this is our republic that we love and care about. We don't want people to start walking around like terrorists, because when terrorists appear wearing the same way, we might probably think it is the police doing it. So
you know, the presence of police, legitimate presence of the police, is a deterrent to some of like the criminal things that could happen. So but if you have an illegitimate presence of the police that is dressed like then that will not deter anybody from doing a bad thing. And then it's like you're waiting for someone to cross a certain line, and then you execute them, because your intention from
the beginning.
From the beginning had been, you know, to have them cross that line so that you can execute them, just because they did not notice that they have a police, a legitimate police presence around them.
So Context Channel, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.